Welcome to another exciting episode where I have the pleasure of speaking with Morgan Mitchell, a remarkable Australian track and field athlete. You may recognize her from the Netflix documentary The Game Changers, alongside iconic figures such as James Cameron, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lewis Hamilton, and Damien Mander, who we have had the pleasure of featuring in a previous season of this podcast. Morgan has completed at both national and international levels in the 400-meter sprint and the 4x400-meter relay. In year 2019, she switched events to focus on the 800-meter event. She has represented the country at the Commonwealth Games and the Rio Olympics in 2016. Morgan's inspiration to pursue athletics was awakened by witnessing Cathy Freeman's genius in the 200-meter event during the Sydney Olympic Games. Beyond her achievements on the track, Morgan is a passionate advocate for a plant-based lifestyle, adopting a vegan diet in year 2014. She is passionate about fashion and style and has been featured by Vogue Australia and many other media outlets. I'm thrilled to introduce you to our amazing guest, Morgan. You are listening to Health, Happiness, and Planet podcast, where we explore different ways to boost our well-being, live a more fulfilling life, and protect our planet. Join me as I chat with inspiring people and professionals from all over the world, uncovering strategies for improving our lifestyles and nurturing our precious planet. I am Juan, and this podcast is proudly brought to you by Wave Business Excellence Footprint, my digital training company that cares about your career and personal development. I am passionate about making the world a better place, so if you share my enthusiasm, this show is for you. Together, we can steer towards a healthier, happier life while leaving a positive footprint on our beautiful Earth. Join me as we explore how being healthy, happy, and caring for our planet are all connected. Hello, Morgan, and welcome to the Health, Happiness, and Planet podcast. It's so great to have you here.
Hello. Thank you so much, Juan, for having me.
Wow, it's so nice that you took the time to be here, and I have so many questions for you today, but I think the first one is, how did you get to where you are today? Because you are excelling so much in what you do, and there's so many directions you can go when you're a young person. You could go either direction towards sports or towards business or towards putting your own company. There's so many directions. So how did you get to where you are today?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say it all started with sport for me. So I come from a very sporty family, and ever since I was about 6 years old, I always just wanted to run in the Olympics. So I pretty much, from the age of 6, wrote in my dream journal, I will go to the Olympics. And then from there, I thought, I don't just want to do that. I also want to be a model, and I want to be a singer and a ballet dancer. And I had this journal of so many different dreams that I wanted to achieve. Yeah. But sport was always the main one. And I guess I got quite lucky because my mum is very artistic and my dad is very sporty. So I kind of got the best of both worlds. And I grew up with mum, and she said, look, I want you to try everything. It has to be, you have to try an instrument, an art, pretty much a sport, and an academic kind of endeavor. So for me, it was piano, painting, chess, and then running was my main sport. So I think having that versatility from a young age just kind of gave me the freedom to think and do whatever I wanted. And I appreciate my mum for that, because it's now grown into, yes, I'm an Olympian, but I've also modeled, and through that I've signed cool commercial deals, and I've connected with really cool people in the business world, and now some of them are like my close friends. And yeah, for me, it all just comes back to like human connection and making everyone feel a part of something and just having a good time. If anyone that like knows me, that watches this, knows I'm just all about fun. I really just want us all to have a good time. So yeah, that's that in a nutshell.
Exactly. Well, that's so good, because I mean, at the end of the day, when you think about your life, then life is all about having those positive emotions. Yeah. Why do you want to go through life having those negative emotions and being always like complaining, being in anger, being in all those negative style emotions? So why that? Yeah. When you look back in your life, when you're someday an old person and you're thinking, why did I live so many years in either resentment or in anger or in frustration? Yeah, why couldn't I do it the other way around? Yeah, I could just flip the coin and say, hey, I can be happy. I can be full of energy and radiate that to others as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I have gone through a lot in my life, and my mum always used to say, Morgan, there's people out there, there's better people that have gone through worse. So it kind of kept me in check, and it's like, well, who am I to be sad when there are people that are struggling a lot more than we are? And we're very lucky, living in Australia, we're very privileged, like having all these different opportunities thrown at us. But I also know, like, that it's a choice as well at the same time. Not to obviously undermine mental health, like that's a serious issue. But for me personally, I'm like, okay, I have moments where I'm sad. I have to accept that, life comes and goes, like things happen. Your mood changes with the wind sometimes, and that's just part of it. But once you learn to fully accept you are going to be sad, you are going to be angry, they're just normal emotions, but to not let it consume you, I think that's what I try to do. And I would say also with my sport, being able to travel the world, I love experiencing different cultures more than anything. I love learning different languages, just connecting with people. But the more you get to talk to people, the more you realize we're all going through something, whether big or small. Everyone has their own reality. And yeah, I just think life's too short. Just go out and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like, take the time. If you want to be angry, do that. But then also know that you can flip the coin and just enjoy life for what it is, because we don't have long on this earth. So
Exactly.
once you're gone, you're gone.
Yeah, that's right. And then you can think, well, what did I actually do with it? Yeah, when what did I do with my life? Yeah, what was my default state? Because as you mentioned, those ups and downs. Yeah, because everybody's going through whatever life throws at you. But then at some point of time, you should always get back to your default state. And if you're aware about your default state, to say, well, what is my emotional default state? Am I a grumpy person as an default state, or am I a happy person, or a bubbly and always looking at things positively? So that is, first of all, I think, is the awareness about it, to say, what is my default state? Where do I usually fall back when I'm alone, when I'm not with friends, when I'm just all by myself? And then if it's a default state where you realize, well, it's not really where I want to be my whole life, in that level, maybe I can raise the bar a little bit. And that's really like that continuous improvement mindset, to say, well, what about if I feel more that feeling of gratitude, feelings of abundance and happiness? And I think all of that is connecting to what you just mentioned, which is fun. Yeah, if you start to do lots of things that is fun, then you start feeling abundant and happy and joyful. Yeah, so that's a very nice, I would say, a very nice place to be if you want to set that as your default state.
No, I would say my default state is definitely more on the happy side. Happy and mellow is when I'm alone, I'm just like, oh yeah, life's great.
Exactly.
I think also it's also good to like be vulnerable about it. I think one thing I had to learn, and that is again through sport and experience, is to understand that it's okay to express your feelings and be vulnerable with your emotions. Some people try to bottle it up, and I used to do that. Whereas now I'm just like, no, it's okay to speak about it, because someone will want to help, someone will want to listen, and then you can kind of find that happy balance in your life. So yeah, I think that's the number one thing I've loved learning about is vulnerability.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. And I think for a lot of people, it's probably that first awareness of really feeling or being like the observer of their feelings, because many people are just so consumed being inside of that emotion that they don't realize that they're going through that emotion. So sometimes I say, hey, can you maybe take a step back and just look at it like from a bird's view, and just take a view and look at yourself as if you would be watching a movie, and just saying, hey, what is going on here? What am I feeling at this moment? And what triggered that feeling?
And then how do I do it again? How do I not do it again? Like, just take the necessary steps to be better.
That's right. That's right. And not fall always back into that same cycle where you say, okay, it happened once again, and I went back down that rabbit hole of getting angry, and then from angry I went into furious, and then
that's me.
God.
So I've been there sometimes. It's like, okay, now I just have to catch myself and shift the focus. You can't just keep going back here.
That's right. And so therefore, for my next question, now that you said that you just landed into sports because you really have that from your dad, who's a very sporty person, and how come you came to that passion of running? Because there's so many different sports like swimming, and there's all kind of stuff. And how did it come to running?
It makes me laugh so much because there's one thing I do love, and it's ball sports. Like, my hand-eye coordination is just incredible. That's one thing I actually can say is I really love, like, tennis, basketball, netball, all of it. I can do it all because Mum just chucked us in the deep end. She was like, try everything until you find out what it is that you'll actually love. And for me, for some reason, the feeling of running and running fast and winning was just addictive from the age of 6. Like, it's all I wanted to do. It's all I wanted to feel. Yeah. I did love my team sports, and I still miss it to this day, but I just can't really explain it. It was just something deep inside me that was like, this feeling, I never want to lose it. And then when I was younger, we got to learn about, you know, the Olympics and what it meant and what sports were involved. And around that time, the Olympics were being hosted in Sydney, and the track and field is, you know, like the golden event. Everyone wants to watch that in swimming pretty much. And I remember just seeing Cathy Freeman, Tatiana Grigorieva jump in the pole vault. Like, they all won medals and they're all Aussies. I thought, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to do that. And ever since, I was hooked. But sometimes I'm like, why didn't I stick to golf or tennis? I don't know. Like, the ones where you can make a lot of money and just have a lot of fun. But no, so I do love it. I still love the sport. I'm still in it. Probably only really have, realistically, 3 to 4 years left, but I'm just taking my time and enjoying it.
Yeah. Just go for the ride, and it's amazing because you really followed your intuition. It's not because you said, okay, I'm doing that sport because, as you said, because it could be bringing more money, or that sport because it's just going to bring me more fame. It's something that your intuition just drew you towards what you're doing today, and that's why you're actually so good at it.
Oh, thank you. I did know from a young age. I was like, I am 100% going to that thing called the Olympics. So it is kind of crazy to finally tick that box. Like, wow, it really did happen. Like, when you put certain things out into the universe and manifest, it just can happen. So
definitely. And I think it really starts with that vision, but having it in your mind. And once you have it in your mind and you link that emotion to that vision, then you know, okay, at some point of time, it's going to happen. So that happened to me so many times in the past. If there was something that I wanted to achieve, previously I was in the corporate world over 20 years, and everything I wanted to achieve in the corporate world, somehow it just manifested by itself, just by me visualizing, say, okay, where I wanted to do, where did I want to get, what did I want to achieve in the corporate world? And just a couple of years later, I was always like the youngest person to achieve it. And all the other managers was like, what are you doing here in the management board? Why are you sitting here with us? Aren't you like a kid? I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm just here. I dreamt it, and suddenly it happened. And so many things. That's right. It's so amazing. Then all these serendipities are just happening, and you're just thinking, okay, maybe I should really be careful what I'm visualizing and what I'm thinking, what goes through my mind, because maybe you just could even attract the things that you do not want. So therefore, that is super important, that you really are aware of what's going on in your mind, and you therefore you could use it for good things or for really bad things. Great. So, well, I found out about you actually a few months before I watched the Game Changers documentary. And then I saw, that was amazing. And then I saw the Game Changers. Hey, I know this, a lot of the people who were there. And then when I saw you, I said, okay, I definitely, one day when I have my own podcast, I'll be interviewing all of these people. And for example, a couple of months ago, I had an interview with Damien Mander, who was also
cool.
and he was so amazing. And now I got this opportunity with you. And my question is, what was the point in your life when you say, okay, that was the moment of truth. That was the moment when you decided, it made like that switch inside of you to say, okay, I'm going to go plant-based. You know, some people just do it very slow transition. You just do it step by step, and other people do it from one day to the next. So that's my 2 questions. What was it that made you change your mind? And how did you do the transition? Was it a slow transition, or was it a day overnight transition?
You'll find throughout this podcast, I'm an all or nothing person. So for me, it was just like, if we're doing it, we're doing it. I'm not going to waste any time. If I want something done, I want it done now. I am not patient in that regard. So yeah, I just said, all right, I'm going vegan, and bang. But the reason I went vegan was actually an ex of mine. And he was really into researching all of these different diets, and he was into the gym. So he did the keto and high fat, low carb, whatever else it was, all these different ones. And I was only, it's over 10. What are we now? Yeah, it'd be 10 years now. So I was 19 at the time. I was young, just getting back into athletics. And I remember he would bug me about trying all of these different diets. And I thought, I'm a kid. I want to eat KFC. I want to go to the fish and chip shop with my friends and sit by the beach and have my fun. And then one day he just walks in and was like, babe, hear me out. I'll never forget. I remember sitting on the bed. I'm like, here we go. He goes, we should go vegan. And I honestly was just like, yes. I just said yes. And I don't know why. But something in me was just like, yep, do it. And the next day I went vegan. And I've had my moments. It was tough, obviously, trying to transition, because I had to eat. Like, I'd have beans if mum made them into burgers or whatever, but it's not every day that I'm eating legumes, right? Never really ate tofu unless I was eating dumplings and at my favourite Chinese restaurant. So that part was tough. I remember just eating French fries for a very long time. until I sat down, sought out a dietitian. Her name was Lucy Taylor. She doesn't work anymore, unfortunately, but I said to her, look, I'm loving this vegan way of living, this vegan diet I'm trying, but I still don't know what I'm doing, and I have the Olympics in a few years. Will you help me? And sure enough, she did. I've still got the same meal plan as well because it's like my holy grail. And yeah,
Wow.
that's how it all happened.
That is so amazing. Yeah, that is definitely. And for you, there's so many reasons why some people change to plant-based or vegan. Some say, well, we do it for the animals. The others say, I do it for my health. And the others, they say, I do it for the planet. So what was your main motivation?
My main motivation was definitely the animals, for sure. I think because my ex had shown me all of these different documentaries as to how they're treated, and it just broke my heart. And for me, it was like, okay, I didn't really like the kind of mentality behind household pets and other animals. So how can you have a dog, say you love animals, but eat meat? That's just kind of contradicting. And in my head, that's what I thought. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, well, that makes me really sad. So I ditched it. And then I learned about the effect it has on the planet. I'm like, all right. And then for my health, it actually, it really, really did increase my overall health tenfold. Yeah. Like, some people, it might not work for them, but for me, it was just the best thing I ever did. Like, I remember having glandular fever in 2012, and then I'd get tonsillitis literally 2 to 3 times a year, every year. I was always run down. Haven't had it since. Small things like that, I'm like, that's just crazy.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. That's so amazing. And sometimes one really notices, well, if I'm doing something good for the planet and somehow it has a positive effect for us as well. And the same way the other way around. If I'm doing something bad for the planet, somehow it's also directly linked to me, because at the end of the day, we are all nature. And if you're going to harm nature, then of course we are harming ourselves indirectly.
Yeah. And it's crazy because not everyone wants to believe that. Like, how can you believe that we were placed on this earth away from everything else where there's no connection? Like, everything literally is connected energetically or whatever. But
like, that's right. And some have like that perception, like humans are that superior, like we are on the top of everything of the food chain, and that we are like controlling everything. It's sad that some people have that view. And the other thing that's sad is that I would say that veil that people have to know about what they're eating, because if I see little children, they're looking at the books and say, hey, look, that's a cow, or hey, look, that's a chicken, or that's, all these farm animals, and they really like them, and they would never think that, hey, I'm going to take a knife and I'm going to stab now that cow or something. So it's like, that's not their instinct to do that. And then when they just go to the supermarket and they get those little packages and it's being served to them on the plate, and they don't find that link between this steak here or this chicken that I'm having here, or this nugget is actually that chicken that I saw on the farm. And I think also the animal industry are doing a good job at separating, not to have people know what is happening in those farms and how do they produce the meat and how do they kill the animals and all of that. Yeah. Because I think if people would see that, more and more people would definitely think twice of their food choices. And as you said,
it definitely turned me off.
Yeah, and that's why I'm so thankful for the people who are doing those documentaries, because they're really like removing the veil so that people can realize, hey, I'm actually paying other people to do this crime towards the animals. Yeah. And that happened to my daughter. She was, I think she was probably around 6 or 7 years old, I think. And I just came from a vegan restaurant, and they had some pamphlets of what happens in the background, behind the scenes. I had a pamphlet by mistake on the table, and she was like, what is that? And I was like, oh yeah, don't look at that, because it's, it could be a little bit bloody. So she still wanted to look. She was intrigued. And then I said, well, look, that's a cow, and that's, that's what happens to them when we eat them. So she's like, wait a minute. So that is what's landing in the supermarkets that we are cooking here at home. So I said, well, your mom and I, we're not eating that, but if you want, you can eat it if you like. But that was a day for her, was also, she went from one day to the next. She said, okay, I'm not eating any more animals ever again.
Wow.
She's now 14 years old, and she hasn't eaten anything, even though she had all that pressure from school, from her friends, people laughing her out that she don't eat anything from animal products. And she still stuck to it. She's seen what's behind the veil. And I think as a small child, if you're so impacted by those bloody images, I think that's really very impactful for their nervous system. And as a grown-up, if people have not seen that as children, when you're already grown up, they need to be really asking those questions. What happens? What is the end to end? What is happening at the beginning of the chain, and what is happening at the end? How does that food get to my plate? So therefore, that's one of the things that I think a lot of people will think twice if they do see more of those documentaries and really find out what happens in the background.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. And so young to let's like make that connection as a child, you know what I mean? Like, some kids are very blasé and just, play their ball games and
Yeah,
video games. So yeah, to like have that connection is
exactly.
quite incredible. Wow.
That's right. That's right. And
Very switched
unfortunately,
on.
I was one of those that I did not see the connection when I grew up. And so now I'm also vegan since 10 years,
Yeah.
uh,
Oh,
just
nice.
like you. Yeah. I
Yeah.
also went cold turkey. I just did from one day to the next because I saw I saw those documentaries and I was like, wait a minute, that cannot be. And then I saw another documentary and from there I went down the rabbit hole. So that same
Mm.
evening, I told my wife, well, you know what? After I think we watched some with the Dr. Michael Greger,
Oh, yeah.
and then he does not go too much into the animal parts to say about saving the animals from going through all that suffering, but he goes more
Mm.
into the part of your health. So he was showing all
Yeah.
the statistics of all the good things that it's doing to you and all the research and the data that's out there.
Yeah,
So,
that's
so when I
awesome.
saw the documentary on the animals and then I saw the YouTube video on Dr. Greger, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, that's it. I'm just going to do it. And I just went from one day to the next. And
Wow.
it's again, just like you, tenfold, my health changed. And
Yeah.
there's no turning back. And
Yeah,
then of course,
yeah.
you have all those benefits after you say, okay, I'm getting better. I'm getting more energy. I'm more focused and I'm doing better
Yeah.
for, for the environment and for the animals. So it's just like, everything makes sense. For me, it's like all of those puzzle pieces just came together. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. Wow.
So, well, now I'm very curious. As you said that you have like that holy grail, so that you got that nutritional advice, and that's the one that you're
Yeah.
also using as your staple of what you're doing today. So, could you tell us more about it, and how do you structure your plant-based diet? Because there are a lot of
It's
people
my
who go
holy
plant-based, but
grail.
they're doing it, yeah, or maybe high level, maybe high
Nah.
level.
Yeah.
Yeah, so because I know that a lot of people do it sometimes the wrong way and they're going like that junk
Yeah.
food vegan and they're still feeling sick.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, guys, maybe there's also another way to do it.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is like, because when people would ask me, like, so first we'll start with my day. It'll start with, now that Easter's coming around the corner, I love hot cross buns. And I told Lucy that's a non-negotiable. Like, I need to have hot cross buns every morning. And she was great. She was like, okay, we're gonna
Yeah.
make you a smoothie. And I, for 10 years straight, have not changed a smoothie. And it's just spinach, banana, frozen berries, and dates. I'm allowed to put soy milk in if I want, but I've always just stuck to either water or coconut water. And then I'm allowed to have 1 to 2 hot cross buns because I just love them. Um, and then for lunch, it's always, for me, usually like a sandwich. I love making this really cool satay tofu sandwich with spinach, vegan cheese, some cashew. It's like a cashew parmesan that my mum makes out of cashew nuts. And then she mixes a few other spices with it.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I'll just add a few more veggies. If I feel like it, mushrooms and tomatoes, if my friends like want to make this. Everyone loves tomatoes in a sandwich. I don't. But every now and then it actually does taste good with this one sandwich that I make. And then at night, I always snack on fruit. Like green apples are my favourite thing. I'll have a banana if I'm hungry, some dates with peanut butter and dark chocolate. And then at night, I will have the same ingredients but mix the carbs. So for me, it's tofu, bok choy, spinach, broccoli, one of the three or all three, with mushrooms and then maybe sweet potato if I really want it. But then for the carbs, that all of that will either be in a burrito, so a wrap, or rice noodles,
Yep.
or a rice bowl. So it's still the same ingredients. I need all the protein,
Okay.
the carbs. Yeah. And for me, it was quite crazy because I
Yep.
always had low iron. But incorporating spinach 3 times into my diet every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I remember I was once at like 27. My iron levels were real low for an athlete, especially. And they shot up to like 90
Yeah.
something. And so that's why I just really make a conscious effort to continuously keep spinach in my diet no matter what's going on or where I am. But I'm also thankful for my mum
Yeah.
because I grew up loving veggies. She loves to cook. She loves to cook things from scratch. So all my friends find it funny because I'll snack on capsicums and cucumbers and whatever else have you. I won't even bother cooking them. I'll just eat them like apples, just straight out of the out of the fridge. And that's what I tell people. I try to treat myself every Friday or every second Friday when I'm in season. And I'll just go out and get a vegan pizza or a vegan burger and fries because I'm not really into all the fake meat. I get that it's so tasty, but I'm also like, what are you putting in it to make it vegan, to make it taste like meat? It's like, that should just be a treat. It's not an everyday thing. And I totally get it. Like, there are people out there that need a little bit more fluidity with their diet choices. So you don't have to take my, meal plan as gospel. It's what works for me in season. But I always just say, yeah, if you've got, a
Yeah.
toothache, you see a dentist. If You're sick, you see a doctor. Go see a professional. Like if you want to, fix your diet and work on it, you see a dietitian. And that's what I did. And it's the best thing I had ever done because she was so patient with me. And they really are accommodating to your wants and needs. They don't want to just tell you, this is how you have to eat and nothing else. You can still incorporate a bit of fun in there.
Yeah.
And I'm someone that, in season I have to be regimented, but every now and then I still need to be Morgan the person. Otherwise you lose Morgan the athlete. I can't be serious all the time. It's just not in me. So yeah, I give myself every Friday, we have Goji in Yarraville, if anyone's in Melbourne, the best frozen yogurt on the planet. And it's all made from scratch, plant-based, made from scratch, in-house. Incredible. So
amazing. That sounds fantastic. Yeah, so that really gives you like that balance, that you know that you always have that cheat day or that cheat meal that you can do once a week.
Yeah.
And that's really good. I would say not only for your taste buds, but also for your psyche, for your brain, because sometimes you're like, okay, I'm super like regimented and super strict throughout the week, but for that, I'm going to at least also have a little bit of fun with that food. If it's ice cream or plant-based pizza or any of that.
Yeah. And you can enjoy it with your friends, which I love my friends because all of them, I think I've only got like a few vegan friends, but a lot of them do still eat meat and whatever. But if I want to take them out to a vegan restaurant or have a vegan dinner, they're more than happy to, because for them it's like, oh, that's their one day a week or 2 days a week to eat plant-based. And then I can eat the junk that I want. But I'm like, okay, well, we're going to this vegan restaurant, but don't worry, they've got an alternative for what you would usually eat. So everyone kind of wins.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, that's really good. And do you know, like, at the end of the day, and on an average day, how many calories do you usually have?
Oh, I actually haven't counted. I'll send you my, I'll forward you the diet so you can kind of work it out. Only because in 2017, for me personally, I got way too addicted to counting calories, and then I got quite thin because it was just like a bit of a journey for me back then as a young, vulnerable 22-year-old, 23-year-old. Now it's for me, because I'm so in tune with my body, I know when I'm getting sick, I know exactly how my body's feeling. I mean, I've lived in it for 29 years, but I'm that in tune that I just know whether I'm in shape or not and what works and what I need to cut out and what I've had too much of. And so, I kind of definitely now just go off feel, for sure.
Yeah. Fantastic. And that's, I think, one of the important things, to know yourself so good that you at least know, okay, I think right now I'm probably going into calorie deficit, and where do I have maybe too many calories? So you can find that sweet spot. And even though you're not counting them or you're not putting it all into an app, fantastic. And do you know, like, from the percentage, like some people say, oh, you need like, I don't know how much protein from your total day. Do you also like think about how much protein do I have and carbohydrates and fats, or is this also mostly by your intuition?
No, it is all on my meal plan, thanks to Lucy, because she knows Morgan. Because my life is so hectic, I try to simplify everything, and I'm like, all right, she knows what she's talking about. But I know I get at least, I think it's like 60 grams of protein between 50 and 60 every meal. I'm always eating protein because I used to lack it back in the day. And then I love carbs, so I don't even bother counting carbs. They just seem to work for me. So I'll eat as many carbs. It does not matter. There's no limit on that. But I really do need to keep in mind the protein intake because it just makes me so full so quickly. I used to just get sick of my protein. There's just so much of it. Can't be bothered. But now my favorite form is just eating beans. I'm actually addicted to eating refried beans. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Yeah. I eat it straight out of the can. It's so, oh my God, it's my favorite thing on earth. So funny. Or I'll dip like cucumber in there. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's same with me. I also, that's probably my main source of protein at the moment. It's also beans and legumes and all of that. So it's so amazing. That's because I used to eat a lot of meat before, and that was for me like the replacement of meat. So if I would have, then instead of the meat, I just have the beans on my plate together with whatever else I had, if it was potatoes or rice or quinoa or anything else. So yeah, and beans definitely so tasty. Time for a quick break to mention that the sponsor of this podcast is Wave Business Excellence Footprint, a digital training company deeply committed to your career development, personal growth, and the well-being of our precious planet. Dive into a wealth of knowledge with over 20 courses available on our website, www.wave-def.com. Tailored for both managers and employees aspiring to become tomorrow's leaders. One of our best-selling courses is the Presentation and Communication Skills Training, perfect for those creating and delivering presentations in their companies. Whether through video conference or live meetings, if you want to convey your message effectively and do an outstanding job, this course equips you with the skills to be a better creator and presenter. Check out the testimonials on our website. The results speak for themselves. During my time in the corporate world, I often wished I had the opportunity to access such courses at the beginning, making my learning experience quicker. And now, one further topic before we jump back to the conversation. For those of you resonating with the themes of health, happiness, and planet, discover information about our 3-day retreat in Spain by reaching out to my team at the email address hhp@wave-bef.com. You will obtain further information about our life-changing retreat held once a year, together with some of our remarkable podcast guests. Each retreat is unique, leaving you energized with a set of simple tools to take control of your health and happiness sustainably. And the best part? You will be surrounded by like-minded individuals, ending the retreat with a personal action plan shared regularly within the group.
And we're back.
So if you think about your energy level, the way how you felt before the vegan or plant-based diet to the way how you felt your energy as well as your recovery after your training, how was the difference for you? Did you notice any difference?
Oh, it was a huge difference. For me, it was recovery. Like, I remember thinking, before I went vegan, it was just like going through the motions, like, yeah, I'm tired, this is just what it is, whatever. And for me, it was just so normalized because it's what I'd been doing for the first 18, 19 years of my life. And then I think it would have been about, I want to say 4 months after going vegan, when my body really got used to the lifestyle, used to the diet, flushed out, all the stuff I was doing before for my system, that I was waking up earlier and feeling fine. I had more energy. I didn't even drink coffee. Did not need anything. And for me, like, we do some grueling sessions over the 400, like sessions where you feel like you can't see and that you're losing your mind. But I would bounce back a lot better than my training partners. I thought, wow, I actually just feel bulletproof, and it's the best feeling in the world because you're light. Like, I still had all my power, but the inside of me, like my soul, my body, like that energetic part of me just felt so light and free. And it just became addictive. I'm like, oh, this is just the best feeling in the world. I don't ever want to turn back. And it definitely helped my sleep. I already mentioned like how I didn't get sick ever again, like especially with the tonsillitis. It was all of those small things where I understood, yes, I'm young, but to feel like the best version of myself right now in the moment, better than I did beforehand, I was just like, yeah, I never want this feeling to leave. And I think the thing I loved the most is connecting with vegans who are in their 50s, 60s and watching them work out, watching them train, watching them move around. Their skin, their health, they just look young and youthful. And it's like, oh my God, for me, I'm like, I can't wait to get to 60. Like, what am I going to look like? How am I going to act? How am I going to feel? Like, how much energy am I going to have? I think that was the coolest part, is like you get a snapshot of what it will be like in the future and to still live the exact same way that you were living when you were in your 20s. So I think that's just like the coolest part for me. Yeah.
Absolutely. I can only tell you it could even get better.
Yeah.
Because I do feel it on myself. I'm already getting close to my 50s. And when I think back, how did I feel when I was 18, 19? I always thought I was feeling a 10, like from 10 points. But now when I think back, I'm like, whoa, that 10 for me, it was actually like today, it was probably more like a 6 because today I feel like a 10.
That's... Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about. Isn't it wild?
Yeah, it's so crazy. And that's why a lot of people, they say, well, what? You're getting close to 50, but how come you're like, like a younger guy? And I'm like, yeah, because I do feel younger than when I was in my 20s. Yeah, and it's just amazing. And that really shows me that whatever I'm doing, it's the right thing. And it's, again, my intuition that's telling me, whatever you're doing, it's definitely going the right direction. It's working. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good.
Wow. And of course, the perks about it is that you know that all these side effects, you're doing it good for the planet. You're not paying for any more suffering of the animals. And as you said at the beginning.
It's like a win-win-win.
Oh, yeah. Win-win-win. That's right. Yeah. I mean, at least for me, I think I also changed probably a little bit the way how I ask questions and the way how I think. It's different since I switched to plant-based. It's clear.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Did that also happen to you?
Yeah, I think so. I just like, because sometimes I sit back and think, did it just come naturally with age, with life experience, with all of this? But then I also look at the people I connect with that have had similar experiences or live in the same life or work in the same field. And I'm like, no, I think turning to that vegan way of living does make you realize a lot more about the planet and the earth. And it does, for me personally, I think, come back to connecting to the earth on that energetic level. And then it does change the way you feel about life in general because you've actually got a deeper connection with what's going on. It's funny, a lot of my friends think I'm a hippie, but I'm like, hey, it works for me. Like, it's the best I've ever felt. And I just want to continue this kind of trajectory of life. So that's what I think happens. But yeah, again, it's just, yeah, sometimes people are like, what are you saying? We literally are all one, you know,
Absolutely.
and to just eliminate the negativity from your life and understand that you're doing things for the better. And I feel like it's just warranted good karma, really. So, yeah.
And I think that whatever emotions that an animal has, whatever animal people like to eat. I mean, some people say, well, we're going to do it the cruelty-free type of butchery. But I think that if you're going to die, if a person's going to die, he knows that he's going to die. And same like with an animal. If the animal knows that he's going to be slaughtered. And so I don't think that there's any humane way to kill somebody. So therefore, I think, you know, the feelings and those emotions that are going through those animals, I think that can be also transferred in their flesh, you know, that is being eaten later by the people. So again, you have all that negative emotions that you are actually consuming yourself. And I know some people could think that's like a little bit like woo-woo style. Yeah, like what about, you know, these emotions and being transferred in in the muscle and the meat? But I do feel that since the beginning when I was eating a lot of meat, my way of being and my character, it was a little bit more different. Yeah, I was not so compassionate than the way I'm today. And I did feel very often that my thoughts were like lots of fearful thoughts. You know, thinking, why do I always think about silly things that I should not go through my mind? But since I went plant-based, I'm like, wow, my thoughts are actually very good thoughts. I don't have those type of negative thoughts like I did before.
Yeah, see, I'm the same because I remember when all of that was happening and I was telling my friends about all these different documentaries they could watch. I remember thinking like, it's almost like the epitome of dichotomy. Like, how can you say there is a humane way of killing, just in general? Like, that's not the definition of humane.
Yeah.
So I think that just needs to be scrapped completely because it's like, you sound a bit silly saying there's a good way to kill people, a good way to kill in general, sorry. So that means murder is as long as the other person didn't feel it was okay. That's not humane.
Exactly.
So why do we say it's a humane way of killing animals? And just getting people to understand the small issues in terms of like just wording things. It's like, no, just... if you're going to do it, say what it is. Say what it is. Don't try and water it down because that's just not fair on anyone.
That's right. That's right.
I think that would annoy me the most. Hearing that, I was just like, did you eat?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think that falls similar like into what you also mentioned at the beginning, that some people just see some animals as their house pets, that they are allowed to be at home and have dinner with them, sleep with them in the same bed and all these kind of things. But at the same time, we are just not paying attention to and making the suffering of all the other animals. So a lot of people say, well, I love animals. And it's like, yeah, but, you know, are you sure you really love animals? Because if you do, then there should not be any, I think they call it now the new term speciesism. Yeah, like they have racism and sexism. And then there's speciesism because you are being racist according to what kind of species you're looking at. You say, hey, that's a dog species. Okay, he belongs in my house. Oh, you're a cow? You're going to get killed soon. So it's like, what?
Yeah, it's just so wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's funny. All those terms and stuff, it just makes me laugh, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's like, when you really do just compartmentalize it all, it's like, do you actually hear... If you wanted to get technical, I'm like, that just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, you just start there.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. The only thing that makes sense is that we're all connected. I mean, we are all in this planet. We are all sharing the same air, the same water, the same ground that we're stepping on. And if I'm walking barefoot in the park or on the beach or in the sand, I know that I'm connected to every other animal that is walking also with their bare feet on this planet. Yeah. So it's, wow. Well, so now another question. Do you also take any kind of supplements? Because I know that a lot of people say, oh, if you go plant-based, you got to watch out with B12. So do you, for example, take supplements like B12?
No.
Okay.
My B12's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it's just luck, but my B12 is so sweet.
Yeah.
because I get all mine from like the dark leafy greens.
Okay.
I remember I was taking B12 when I first started because everyone was quite scared. But the only supplements I really take, it's just this, it's Body Science. It's a vegan collagen. And that's just for my tendons.
Okay.
It's pretty much, I had an Achilles issue, so I just thought I've got to get on top of it. And it's a really nice vanilla flavor, which I love. But other than that, I don't know. I think growing up with mum, because she's very traditional, she's like pretty much, she loved this. She's pretty much a hippie. She just loves, you know, she's more of comes from the naturopath kind of way of living where, you know, oh, you're sick? Take this plant, star anise, or, you know, sit in a bath and I'll run some garlic and whatever else have you through it. She's just taught us that there's an easier way of life before you have to go to the doctors, before you have to go to the chemist. And I've just kind of always adapted to that. I thought, okay, well, protein, I can get it from mushrooms, tofu, beans, sweet. B12, dark leafy greens, yep, cool. Iron, dark leafy greens, yep. And I'll only take a supplement if I know I am low on something or I'm deficient and it's off season and I haven't been eating enough or whatever it is. But yeah, I just think if you can get it directly from the food source first, do that. Then check with your doctor, get your blood test and see if you need to change anything else. But all that stuff's just too expensive anyway. It's like, why would I bother if I can just get it from food?
Exactly. Just go to the main supplier, yeah? Pachamama, yeah? The planet is good and provide you all what you need.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's me. I know other people are different. But...
Fantastic. Yeah. Especially when I think about the statistics that I was looking at, which is like all the people who are not vegan or not plant-based, they're just as deficient in B12 or iron or any other deficiencies that any other person might have. So it's not just like specific, because you're plant-based, you are going to be deficient in this or that. So it's just, that's also a thing, that misconception that a lot of people have.
Yeah. And that's the other thing I try to tell people, because a lot of people would question me, where do you get your protein from? And then I'd put it back on them, where do you get yours from? Like, meat. I'm like, well, how much are you getting? And then they can't answer the questions. And I'm like, well, see, when you don't do the research, you're not going to know the answers, right?
Exactly.
And I was like, this diet works for me. If I want answers, I'll ask the relevant people. But I just think, you can't. That's the one thing I think I found the hardest is the judgment that came from other people. I was just like, just because I've now turned to a new diet, it doesn't open this can of worms for judgment. It's just so random, and you can't judge if you haven't done the research. You cannot have an argument based off of a naive nature, I guess. It just doesn't... I don't like arguing with those people. Just leave me alone. So.
Absolutely. And that's usually the thing, that once you're plant-based for so many years, like we are, it's so funny because people, the first thing that they're scared about is about protein. It's like, wow, it's amazing how you're so concerned about my protein intake. Yeah,
it's just so weird. I always find that the funny. It's so, and I tell them, like, why are you so invested in my life? And then they kind of go, I was just asking. And I'm like... ask someone else. I'm okay. So whoever is listening to the podcast and is thinking about maybe doing the transition at some point of time, don't be scared and just look at all the people and all those athletes, and especially those who are really so in sync and so in tune with their own body, like you are, because you are just at such a high level that people like you will know if you're doing something right for your body. You will know if you're doing something that's not right for your body. So for any, I would say, average person who's not into the professional sports, they could think, well, if a person who is really into sports can achieve such benefits, then how can maybe I, as a regular person going to work or going to my regular corporate job, that should also do some kind of benefit. And that's what I hope, that it could also trigger some of those impulses, to plant the seed and make people think about it. And that's all you can. And it's like, they don't have to do what we did and just, jump off the deep end.
Exactly.
That's the beauty of it, is that there's so many options out there now. I love Happy Cow. That's what I use when I travel. So Happy Cow pretty much give you all the recommendations of vegan and vegetarian restaurants in the area that you're traveling to. And it's just, there are all these small little, like, I guess, bits and pieces of information and stuff. I can't even find the word. Sorry, I had a big day at training. Well, we'll just say bits of information where you can actually find and map out how you want to live a vegan lifestyle, depending on whether you're on the road or if you're going out with friends or whatever. But the thing I do love is, because it is so normal now, like 10 years ago it was, how crazy was it going vegan? 10 years ago it was just like, wow, this is unorthodox. Like, how do we accommodate for a vegan in a meat-eating restaurant? Whereas it's really cool to see regular restaurants now merge and have more vegan options, and because they understand it is a new way of life for a lot of people. And even those that are living more of a plant-based lifestyle but not committed fully, they still can go to their favourite restaurants and choose to eat, whatever the vegan option is of the day. So I think I love that part. But
Absolutely.
no one's going to hate you if you screw it up. I think that's the other thing. I think people probably realise, oh my God, I'm going to be hated. Like, I can admit I've definitely screwed up plenty of times, because you just don't know. And it's just to accept it and be like, all right, well, tomorrow's a new day. 10 minutes is a new hour and whatever. So it's just trying to continuously do the right thing without beating yourself up along the way. Like, you're not going to go to jail. It's all right.
Exactly. And, for a lot of people, it's just like very scary to do a big transition from one day to the next. And therefore, I usually, say, hey, if you're even thinking about it, then why don't you just make a plant-based meal once a week? And if you think, hey, how did I feel after that? Did I feel better? Did I feel more focused when I went back to work? Then they say, hey, then maybe I just implement it 2 times a week. Yeah. And then you can just increase it gradually and you just see how your body feels. And then at the end of the day, your body will be giving you that intuition, say, hey, maybe do more of that or do more of the other.
Yeah.
I think for us as ambassadors who are already in this world of plant-based and vegan, it's usually very hard for me to say, okay, I'm going to now not put too much pressure or push on people, because I know the more you push or make pressure, the more it's going to be like that reflex of pushing back. So therefore, I just let go, and I just let go. And I said, okay, I'm just going to lead by example. And if I did plant a seed somewhere, then I hope, that this person knows that there's another option. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah, wow. And time just goes by so fast. I'm just looking at
doesn't it?
It's amazing. So I do have a couple of final questions for you, Morgan.
Yeah.
One of them is, what are you working currently? Do you have like any specific projects you have in mind, or you're working on a specific goal you would like to achieve? So what is at the moment something that you're visioning right now for the future?
Yeah, for the future, the Olympics this year in Paris.
Wow.
It will be my 3rd if I can tick it off, which would be amazing. And for me, I just want to get back into work. So I do have a few like commercial opportunities, which is great. I work with F45 and they've been amazing. I love working with them because it's a very similar lifestyle. Like, they're all about bringing joy and happiness to people's lives, which is just incredible. And then, I've just gone back to study. It's my last year of uni. I'm studying fashion marketing and business. So
hey, good.
In the future, I'd like to, that'll be my kind of calling post-career. And it was funny. I was thinking the other day, because I am getting back into cooking, in season, I'm all about just like making my own meals. Out of season, I'm always out. I'm social. I love eating out. But I thought it would actually be cool to come up with a vegan cookbook for those trying to transition, or athletes as well, so that they can understand what I ate, when I ate, and to incorporate it with training. So it's a bit of a project. I'm not going to say too much, but it's something I wish I had done back in 2019, but I was just too busy. Whereas now that I'm getting older, I actually do have a lot of time to just try. Yeah, because I always get questions about, my vegan diet, my journey. So if I can kind of help up and coming athletes and the younger generation realize it is a fun way of living, and it is exciting, and it doesn't have to be boring and, blatant, that you can put flavor, a lot of flavor into vegan food.
Oh, yeah.
So it's something I really want to kind of try and get into online, and it'll be digital and physical.
Fantastic. Especially that people think that if you're going to go plant-based, you're going to be eating only flowers, and yucky stuff. Yeah.
It's like, no one would do it. It is honestly the best diet because you can actually add more into it, I find. So, and the flavors are there. Like, I'm more of a savory person, but the only reason I eat dessert now, I never used to, but when I went vegan, I started eating dessert because of the flavor. When you eliminate the milk and the sugar and you can add in oh my God.
Wow.
It just elevates everything. Everything. So, I'm excited.
I'm also excited, so I'll be already standing in line waiting for your book to be published.
You get the first copy.
Yeah.
Oh, I promise you will get the first copy.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, that would be so amazing. Especially that I really have experienced that the sense of taste that I have today, it's so much heightened compared to the way it was before. And it's
Yeah.
wow. And I think you only can experience that, and you can only explain that to others if they really live it themselves, because you cannot just try to explain to somebody, look, your taste buds will experience much higher way of tasting things, and they're like, what you talking about? Yeah. I know how to taste things.
Oh my God. Yeah, and the smell.
Yeah,
The smell.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
remember when I walked past a butcher's, it was in the supermarket, you know, the butcher area.
Yeah.
We were shopping for, it must have been like a girls' night or something. We must have been doing tacos or whatever in the backyard. And I was like, I just got to go. I said to him, I actually can't. I feel sick. And they're like, what? I'm like, don't you smell that? And they're like, are you serious? I go, yeah, serious. Like, ever since I went vegan, this stuff makes me sick. Like, I can't be around it at all. Like, it's so interesting. I want to know the science behind that, though.
Well, my wife, she's also very, very sensitive now because her sense of smell is very, very heightened. And since we changed to plant-based, and she said that from the research that she was doing was that as your body becomes so clean, I would say you detox yourself from so many toxins, from all the antibiotics that the animals are eating and all that kind of stuff. So therefore, all your senses are working in a much heightened level.
Yeah.
For example, if you start smelling maybe a perfume that is way too strong, and then you're like, whoa, and your body knows, okay, the perfumes could be even toxic. So sometimes you could even react like allergic from just smelling some of those perfumes. Yeah. And maybe also when you walk by the restaurant and you can smell death because you can smell the meat and the blood from that animal. So all of that,
like the worst smell.
You're very aware. You're more conscious about your presence when you are plant-based.
It's crazy.
And so the other thing which I really liked from what I heard, that is you're going to go more towards the fashion, because one can see that you really love also fashion, because your Instagram account is just amazing. It's and gives a lot of, I would say, motivation also for young people to know that you don't have to be weird or look weird if you want to be, I would say, good to the planet and good to the animals.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people like to compartmentalize. If you are, let's say, I don't know, plant-based and vegan or vegetarian, then you're probably looking like a hippie, and that does not have to be the case.
Yeah.
And therefore, I think that is a really good thing that you're doing, especially in the fashion industry. I think they call it a very dirty type of industry because the fashion industry pulls a lot of resources from the planet, and it does a lot of toxins. It could also maybe get a lot of cheap labor from countries where they're not treating people properly. So that is really the fashion industry. I think there's a lot of room for improvement. And if somebody's coming from your point of view, like plant-based and thinking about the animals, thinking about the people, and knowing that we're all connected, then automatically you're going to probably go in the direction of doing that type of fashion that's going to be better for everybody.
Yeah, and that's what we're learning in university right now, is the sustainability side of everything. And I think one of the people I look up to the most with it, because I wasn't switched on with it at all, because fashion is always moving and changing, and they've got all these big brands that you want to work for that you forget what goes on behind the scenes. Yeah. And I had a friend pull me up. She's like, girlfriend, you really should start researching some of these brands that you love. And it was heartbreaking. And even some of the brands that say they're doing well, I'm like, once you read the fine print of what is allowed and what isn't, they're doing the bare minimum. And so I've started, it's cool because a lot of our subjects are surrounding, the ethical way of fashion and how things can be more progressive. Especially with this new generation of children and adults coming through, they're very switched on with that. Yeah. And one of my favorite person is Billie Eilish. So she does a lot of collabs with certain brands, and she's so hard. She's like, I won't do it unless I need to see, the clauses around ethics and sustainability. Everything has to be vegan leather. Like, I think she did a shoe with Nike, and it was all vegan leather, and it was just like, she's got so much power that you've got one of the biggest brands in the world just saying yes.
That's so amazing.
She's amazing. Oh my God, I would love to meet her. Yeah. She's awesome.
And that's, I think, one of the things where I would say people who are influencers, that is definitely the right thing to do. Yeah, that, okay, if I'm going to be an influencer, why don't I just influence people of doing more good instead of more whatever else what influencers do, but at least focus on something good. Yeah.
Exactly. So
and there's so many. Oh, yeah, definitely. And the other thing that one has to watch out as a consumer is all about, as you mentioned, the greenwashing, because so many companies can say, oh, I'm just going to put some nice marketing slogan in front of my product, and everybody's going to think that I'm already very eco-friendly, but at the end of the day, the way you run your business is the same how you're running it the last 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that just kills me. It's like, at least just be honest. I
Yeah,
don't know.
exactly. Yeah. So I'm really, really excited about your vision of the future plans.
Thank you.
Yeah, very
That's
good.
amazing. Thank you. Thanks for having me as well.
Yes, I'm so happy that you had the time to be here in this podcast. And therefore, I would like to finalize it with one last question. And this question is, what is your definition of happiness?
Oh, what is my definition of happiness? I actually thought about this the other day. Oh, give me a minute. What
Yeah.
is my definition of happiness? I think for me, it's to be true to yourself and live as authentically as you can, whilst also trying to give back to the general community and well-being of those around you.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Wow.
think that's my general. Yeah,
Amazing.
but again, shout out mum because she
Yeah.
instilled that into us. She's like, just be yourself, be true to yourself, but also be a good person because it's free. So yeah.
Absolutely. Wow, that's nice definition. That's one of the questions I asked a lot of people since I was a kid because I always wanted to find out why
Yeah.
some people are happy and others are not happy. And I was trying to find out the root cause, and there's so many root causes, and the one that you mentioned is so beautiful. So thank you for that.
Oh no,
And,
it's okay.
and where can my listeners find you when they want to find out more about where you are, what you're doing?
Oh, I am just on Instagram at the moment, actually. So my
Okay.
Instagram is Morgan Mitch. I'm on Twitter or X as Morgan Mitch too, but that's just to get my news, my little updates as to what's going on in the world. I don't believe it all, don't worry. But yes, I do not have anything else. Don't try and add me on Snapchat. I deleted TikTok. I do not have Facebook. I had a lot of people saying people were making fake accounts of me. So just Instagram and X, Twitter.
Fantastic. I'll be putting that into the show notes so that people know that they will click on the right link. Yeah.
Yeah, don't bother with anything else.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, I've been looking at your Instagram account, and definitely it's nice to watch, and you have really good
Oh,
photos,
thank
high
you.
quality pictures. So thank you for sharing.
I
Also,
appreciate it.
yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Juan. I appreciate it.
All the best, and thanks a lot for taking part of this podcast. It was a joy to have you here.
Thank you anytime.
Thank-
Hey,
thank-
is it disfruta tu día?
Muchas gracias. Sí, muchas gracias. What an incredible conversation with Morgan. Here are the key highlights from our talk. Point number 1. Watching the Game Changers documentary can significantly influence one's perspective on diet and lifestyle. Point number 2. A vegan or plant-based diet can lead to increased energy and improved recovery in sports. Learning nugget number 3. Eating plant-based can make people feel lighter, younger, more energetic, and connected to the earth. Point number 4. Misconceptions about deficiencies and protein concerns are common nowadays, but a well-planned plant-based diet can provide all necessary nutrients. And point number 5. The fashion industry has room for improvement in terms of sustainability and ethical practices. Don't forget to check the show notes for links and details on where to find Morgan. I especially recommend watching the Netflix documentary The Game Changers. And now, I'm curious which part of this episode resonated the most with you. I value your feedback and I would love to hear from you. Please take a moment to rate, subscribe, and share this episode with anyone who could benefit from this content. Your support means the world to me, and it motivates me to keep creating content that adds value to your life. Looking forward to connecting with you in the next episode. Big hugs, everyone!